All right, I'm going to ask everybody to stand as we kick off this week's Elevate. And we're going to sing Faith is a Bird That Feels the Light, quote by Rabindranath Tagore, and music by Elizabeth Alexander and our very own Kelby McNair. Whoever's manning the camera, can you guys, the musicians are going to start, yeah, so on Kelby right now, please.
So I'll just come up here so that we can do this clapping thing together. So maybe the first time we won't do clapping, and we'll save the clapping for the exciting second time. 1, 2, 1, 2. Faith is a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light. Oh, faith is a bird that feels the light and sings while the sky is still. Same thing again. Faith is a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light. Oh, faith is a bird that feels the light and sings while the sky is still dark. Faith is a bird that feels the light. Same thing. Faith is the bird, a bird that feels the light. Out of the top of the clap. Faith is a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light. Oh, faith is a bird that feels the light and stays while the sky is still. Singing. Faith is a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light. Oh, faith is a bird that feels the light and stays while the sky is still pink. Faith is a bird that feels the light. Faith is the bird, a bird that feels the light. Faith is a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light, a bird that feels the light. Oh, faith is a bird that feels the light and stands while the sky is still dark, still dark, still dark, still dark, still dark, still. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you very much, Elevate Trio. Kelby McNair on vocals and body parts, and Peter Dowse on electric bass, and Pablo Cardenas on piano. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, so welcome once again to another Elevate, our midweek pick-me-up here at the Victoria True Center. Thank you for everyone who's here in person and for everyone who is joining us online. We love you, we appreciate you, and we're so glad you're here. So, what is it that we come to do? We come to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to remember, to celebrate, to remind ourselves, to remind each other that really love is all there is. And love can go by many, many names. It can be energy, it can be God, it can be source, creativity, beauty, integrity, imagination, so many things. Whatever it is that is meaningful for you, that's what we're here to celebrate. We're here to celebrate that not only is there the only thing going on, but that each and every one of us is that. And not just some of it, not just part of it on special occasions. Sometimes, when we forget that we're not it, we're always it, all the time. And it's up to us to decide from moment to moment to moment how much of that love, that creativity, that energy, that super amazing awesomeness that is responsible for everyone and everything that is, was, and ever will be, how much of that we want to experience for ourselves. That's why we're here today. So how does that sound for everyone? All right, okay. And so as we are remembering, as we are opening up to this incredible idea that love is all there is, we're remembering where we're doing this, where we're coming together, where we're celebrating, that we're doing so on the unceded lands of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, the Songhees and the Esquimalt nations, and just remembering and honoring that some of the values that they hold dear are strength, integrity, vision, and stewardship. And if these were values that we all embraced more fully and leaned into from moment to moment to moment, then this is how we express that incredible, amazing love that each and every one of us is. And this is how we co-create, this is how we build community together, one moment, one experience at a time. So grateful to be able to live and breathe and work and play and do all of that on these incredible lands. Oh, there we go. All right, time for a little meditative music. And then, everyone has been here before, so I'm just going to ask you if you want to show your appreciation for the band like this, because we're going to go straight into an opening prayer. continues to be expressed in, through, and as each and every individual here, in, through, and as each and every individual online. And so grateful for the opportunity to come together to experience this expressing, this radiating, this resonating of there are no words. And so just continuing to feel in the body the vibration of the music that was just shared by individuals that communicates on a whole other level, that share such a deep love for the music that they play and playing together. And what a gift and a blessing it is for everyone else to receive that love. So knowing that the rest of our time together continues to be founded in love and celebration and harmony, I release my word as law, knowing that our time together is pure love expressing. So I release, I let go, I am grateful, and so it is. And if you would like to express more fully your appreciation for the just to disrupt some of that energy, come back into our bodies. Okay, so a little bit more faith. This is the month that we're in, and we are very fortunate because we have 5 Wednesdays this month, which means that even though there's an Elevate Your Creativity next week, we get to come back for one more week of faith after that and experience more of this. All right, but now is our opportunity to lean into faith, to really sort of look at, for the last 2 weeks, what has faith been feeling like? How has faith shown up for you? This affirmation of, through faith, the impossible becomes possible no matter what. Does that make spiritual sense to you? So now is an opportunity for people to just share whatever it is that is on your heart, in your mind, whatever it is that is activating your soul, regarding faith. So who would like to start us off? Stephanie.
So yesterday I was working with one of my clients. He's 9, and we were walking around the Henderson Golf Course, and I take out a small ball with me. It's really easy to grasp, and he decided to throw it up into the air very close to a very tall tree, and there it went. And we had 15 minutes, and we had to turn around and head back to his home. And I stood there, and at first my body was like, that did not just happen. And then he just immediately was like, I'll get it, I'll figure it out. And there was this experience of, in his 9 years of living, right? It was just automatic faith. Like, it was like, we'll figure a way to get this ball.
Yeah.
And he did.
Oh.
And it was 20 feet up. It was
Wow.
way up there, and he figured out how to shake it and get the stick. But it was just, I was so present to other, you might have looked at that and went, there's no way we're gonna get that ball down.
Yeah.
And that's not how it went. And we got it down. And so it was just this experience of, there was no other possible thing other than it was gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was unquestionable.
Mm-hmm.
I was just really present to that, so I wanted to share that story.
May I ask, Stephanie, before you give the mic over, do you feel like there are times in your life where your faith is that unshakable, or has there been, maybe when you were 9, was your faith like that, and has it changed over time?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that when I was younger, you just always believed that things would work out.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get older, things happen, and then it impacts that, right?
Yeah.
But I would say my faith is still, like, I do believe things will work out.
All right, thank you very much for that. Who else would like to share something? Kelly.
Well, I was really enjoying the whole reflection slightly burnt out. And then I found like a couple of nights of poor sleep and poor food, and all of a sudden, my faith was pretty shaky. I noticed myself going back to lots of patterns of thought and deciding outcomes and getting grumpy. And I sort of noticed that it was fun to be like, oh, I'm like a fair weather faithful person. It's easy to be faithful when things you're like, see, everything's great. That's faith. I sort of remember that idea of like that football player analogy we used where when they score the touchdown, they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
But when they fumble the ball, they're never like, yeah, that's you. So I was like, okay, that's gonna be. So it was really, I found it challenging. I didn't really know how to do it, but I've just been trying to be blindly faithful.
Yeah.
When I noticed myself going with these mental patterns and trying to just be like, no, I'm not going to do those. I don't know what else I'm going to do in place because those are paths well worn, I discovered. But it was nice to at least to notice that that was happening and to have a little bit of faith that there is another option available.
That's great.
Yeah, couldn't quite always jump into it.
Yeah.
To realize health.
Well, but just the noticing, Kelby. First of all, hard to imagine Kelby grumpy. But the noticing is a bridge to then, changing. And in those kind of situations, the faith is there. Even if we forget, even if we're like, I don't know how I'm going to get that ball out of that tree. The faith is always there. It's just we have veered off, the path of attention or the focus. And so one amazing thing to do, and this is part of the positive intelligence paradigm, is to come back into your body. Because when you're back into your body, you can't be worrying about other kinds of stuff. And so if you just take your fingers and start to rub, if you become aware of, physical sensation, if you use one of your 5 senses, or even focus on your breath, you become so anchored in the present moment, and then you can't sort of get pulled out to, get pulled out into anxiety or overwhelm, because that's a totally different part of the brain that's being used. So coming back into the body by just sort of, rubbing your fingers or tuning into what is the closest sound to you, what's the furthest sound away from you, focusing on the rhythm of your breath, it just takes you out of the anxiety and overwhelm in the back of the brain and brings you into the middle prefrontal cortex and brings you into the present moment. And once you're in the present moment and you're anchored in there, then you can make decisions with more clarity. And it takes conscious work to be able to move from, this is horrible, I don't know what to do, and feeling like a fair weather faith friend, whatever it was you said. Honey Bunch, on the way here, you were telling me about something that you heard. Do you want to take the microphone and tell us about Get Out?
Yes. Okay, so this was from the Dilbert creator, Scott Adams, who's a hypnotist, very skilled in explaining the rationality behind behind how our brains work and how we can control them better and get more relaxed. The example he gave was, if you are in your mind and you are experiencing anxiety, or you're catastrophizing about what happens in the future, or you're remembering the past and you're just absorbed into that, he calls that the imaginary world. And the cure for it is to no longer be in the imaginary world, is to get into the physical world. And he has this thing called a cue, or like a key, sorry, which is in hypnotists will use this key, just a phrase or word. And his thing is, say to yourself, get out. Like, release your mind from your body, walk into another room, get outside, realize you have to do some chores, like things that involve mostly your body will take you out of that imaginary, this is really happening, when really it's thinking about the future or the past, which isn't really happening. And even though the imaginary world thing, we can argue it's real still, whatever, but it's a really helpful tool just to get you back on track. And your body knows, like, if this is what I'm doing, that other stuff doesn't matter. It just gets pushed and you forget. And what he says is, if you're doing it the right way, you'll actually forget what you even did that. It isn't real anymore. So you got some ironing done or whatever. So
Get out.
get out.
I really, really appreciated that when Glenn mentioned that today. Just get out of your mind, get into your body, or get out of whatever it is that, you know, you're paying attention to and focus your attention on something else. It was just 2 little words, get out. It's just so great. All right, thank you, Mahoney, for sharing that, and thank you for the other shares that were shared today. So continuing with faith throughout the month, and just, you know, leaning into what does it look like, what does it feel like, and if there are times when we're feeling maybe fair weathery, you know, how can we get back there? All right, time for some more music, fellas. Did you just stick out your tongue?
You get out of the chair.
I saw that. It'll be the last one for a while.
So, you may have noticed about Peter that he's a colorful character. And so I don't know if this story is true, but when I mentioned this song for guys, is that okay if I tell? Yeah. Peter said, "Oh man, I got fired for not knowing the chords to that song by the composer in the studio." And the song is Hallelujah by Kohut. And so we sometimes feel that if the only member of the band to be fired by them, he's also the only member of the band to be hired by them, which is a good skill.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a studio musician way back then in the 80s, early 80s. He wanted to come into the studio to do something, so they called me to do it. And we just sat around all night playing this one too. And he just was just into me, just playing all night. He got pretty hammered. He said, I don't know if I like this tune, I don't know if it's working out. Okay, great. So I got paid and came home. Yeah, that was it.
I see if he knows the chords tonight.
And then he re-recorded the song later with somebody else. So,
I can get close.
After Peter said I was paying attention to the bass on the record, and I was like, oh, I got you. This is so much better.
It's not that he didn't like my playing, but it's just that he doesn't know where it was. He just wasn't quite ready. Yeah.
Wow, you guys. Oh, that was just so phenomenal. Thank you. Whew. Another amazing treat to hear at BTC.
We just hugged.
Okay, so who here has ever experienced the feeling of, I have no idea how I'm going to get through this. I have no idea how I'm going to find my way. Okay? Yeah. See, everybody's hands. Oh, everybody's hands are up. Okay. Yeah. So at some point in our lives, maybe more than once, maybe throughout, doesn't matter what age we are or whatever, that there has been some situation where we just have no idea how we're going to get through it. Maybe it's a little golf ball that is thrown into the air and gets stuck in a tree 20 feet up in the air. Maybe it's, playing with Leonard Cohen for hours on end while he's getting hammered and like, when is he going to say that that's okay? Like, that's good, that's a laugh, that's a recording. Or any other thing, okay? So this month is all about faith. And faith, as we have talked about before, is about trust, is about acceptance. It's also about resilience and resourcefulness. Knowing that no matter what is going on, no matter how impossible something might seem, that there is that in us that can guide us, that can support us, that can hold us, that can open us up to revealing whatever opportunities, resources, people, connections, whatever it is that we require to get through, to conquer, to triumph, to prevail. And so this idea of faith and prevailing is coming up a lot for me as I continue listening to Lynn Twist's Living a Committed Life. And I don't have a copy of the book, and at some point I might get a physical copy of the book, because right now I'm bookmarking little, like notes and whatever, that I have to keep sort of scrolling and listening and stopping and writing them down again. But there was one thing that kept coming up in the section that I was listening to over the last few days, and this idea of something being like seeming so hard and insurmountable that there was just no way to get through it, no way to go through, to come out on the other side, whatever it was, that it's like, I have no idea, how I'm going to get through this. And she talks about this a lot, about how when she devoted herself or decided to devote herself to ending world hunger, there was project after project where even though she received, lots of funds and support and all the kind of stuff that she needed, there was still the time, the energy, the focus. How are we actually going to make this happen? How in the world are we actually going to get rid of world hunger? How are we going to ensure that every single person on the planet is adequately and sufficiently not just fed, but nourished? This is her life's work. And so she talks about how this work, this commitment that she made, would also compete with her commitment to her family. Something that I can really resonate with, and a little bit of what I talked about on Sunday about my bakery in Toronto and how Milana was really little, and it just impacted our family in such profound, challenging ways. And there were several times for me during that experience where I thought, I have no idea how I'm going to get through this. I have no idea how I'm going to get through this with my family intact, with my kid not hating me for the rest of my life. You know, just all these demands and everything without like actually, you know, paying our suppliers and all that kind of stuff too. But the family part, that was a really big thing for me, and there was a lot of shame for me involved in that experience. For Lynn Twist, she talks about how at one point she sat down with her family, with her children, who were something like 6, 8, and 10 at the time, and just in tears was telling them how sorry she was about making this commitment and how it was impacting them and how she didn't know how she was going to go on. Now, she doesn't talk about faith that much in the book. Her focus is commitment, and how when we decide, when we commit to something, that whatever needs to happen for us, to us, as long as we're open to it, as long as we're receptive and allow for whatever it is to happen, that we will find our way, that we will make our way. Even when it seems like there's no way, we will find our way. And so her thing was to sit down with her 3 kids and say, I'm really sorry that this is how life has turned out, but I don't know how to not do this. And so I really want your permission for me to be able to do this. And as soon as I heard that, immediately I thought, wow, that's a big ask. You know, yes, this is a huge commitment that she's made, but this is a big ask of her family to say, it's okay for you to go and spend more of your time, more of your energy, more of your focus on these other people in the world and other countries and helping them than it is to be here at home with us. That was my experience of hearing that. But what ended up happening was, even the youngest kid ended up saying, but Mom, look at this amazing life that we have. Look at all the cool people we get to meet. Look at the experiences that we've had. Look at the places we've been. Look at who's hanging out at our house for dinner. And so one by one, they all offered something which was incredibly positive and had a completely different perspective on the situation, which really helped her to let go of a bunch of guilt, but to also realize that this incredible commitment that she made for herself, which felt like she couldn't not do it because it was just so incredibly monumental and this call on her soul, that it wasn't impacting her family the way that she had sort of seen from a relative perspective, that there was a different context and a different perspective that the rest of her family was experiencing this commitment from. Now for me, I have to say it was different. For me, it was incredibly challenging when I had my bakery and I figured that that's where I needed to be. It was incredibly challenging to not be at home to parent our, then 4-year-old daughter with Glenn. It was incredibly challenging and embarrassing even for me to know that I wasn't there to help him with all the Ukrainian homework she had from Ukrainian school, where people weren't really supportive of Glenn, who didn't speak Ukrainian, and he would phone my mom in Edmonton and read the Cyrillic letters on the page, not knowing what he was reading, but because Ukrainian is a phonetic language, as long as he knew the sound on there, he could say the sounds, and then my mom would go, oh, well, this is what you need to do. And then, the two of them would help Milana out, and she would take her homework, to school the next week. So anyway, for me, it was not that great an experience where, my 4-year-old did not say, hey, but look at what I get to do, and look at what Dad gets to do, and that kind of thing. But when I look back on it now, there is a resilience that ended up being cultivated. There was a resourcefulness that definitely was leaned into. And what I see now, Milana's about to turn 20, is that she has this incredible, beautiful relationship with her dad. And if not for the faith, if not for the resilience that exists in each and every one of us, and us as a family, I don't know if our family would still be a family in the way that it is right now. And so very personal, and very impactful, but faith was a huge thing. And it wasn't even something that I was that aware of back then. It was just this feeling of, I know there's more. I know there's something different. I have no idea how to get there or like fix this or whatever sort of thing. I don't even know if there's something that requires fixing, but I know there's a different experience to be had than what is happening right now. So in the book, Lynn Twist talks about how her commitment was stronger than the confrontation. And that's kind of what she kept in mind and in her heart as she went along with this commitment to end world hunger that took her all over the world into various countries and took her away from her family. She just felt like this commitment is so big, and there was this knowing in her that was so strong, it didn't matter that there were all of these experiences and examples of, I'm not here with my kids, I'm not hanging out with them, I'm not at their school functions, I'm not doing this. Even though that was very present, this commitment was stronger, this commitment was bigger, and it was grounded, even though she wouldn't say it, it was grounded in a faith that is always there, that is present in each and every one of us. She says, our commitment was so deep and fierce within us that we couldn't resign ourselves to hopelessness. In prevailing, we were shaped, molded, and forged into who we needed to be to keep going, no matter what. And when this quote was offered, it was about the group that she was working with on some certain project. But it also talks about her family. It also talks about this incredible resilience and resourcefulness in her family and the willingness to be shaped and forged and molded into something new. When we were doing our meditation earlier, what came to mind for me was a river flowing through banks, and how the riverbed on its own is just a riverbed. You know, it's not sort of going like, there's water coming, I gotta like shift and change and whatever to accommodate the water. The water comes, and as the water is flowing, it carves out, it molds and shapes the riverbank according to the flow. And as that carving and shaping and forging happens, the flow of the water changes at the same time. That's us. Every single moment, we get to choose how it is that we get to respond to what is going on. Every single moment is a brand new opportunity to heal, to grow, to connect, to expand, to choose something different, to consciously choose something different. And as we choose something different, we are reimagining our life, we are reimagining ourselves, while we are being reimagined by that incredible, amazing force, that power, that presence, that profundity, that infinitude that is the essence of everyone and everything. And so as long as we remain open, as long as we trust, as long as we accept, we can prevail. Even if we have no idea how it can be done in the present moment, if we trust and have faith, we can prevail. Now at this time last year, it was my final ministerial exam. And this time this year, I'm now talking to my fellow classmates who were in class with me but a year behind last year, and they just wrote their exam. So I can really feel sort of, you know, the celebration, the jubilation, some disappointment as these guys move through this next level that gets them closer and closer to that finish line of becoming ministers. And so as I was remembering this, and as I'm feeling and breathing and celebrating and, you know, sort of commiserating along with, you know, my fellow classmates, it actually took me back even further to my practitioner studies exam, where on the day I walked in and I sat down and I thought, oh man, I am so prepared, I am so ready, I'm just gonna like rock this exam. And then we got handed it, and then I went through the exam, and I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea how I'm gonna get through this exam. And back then, it was a 3-hour exam. My ministerial exam last year was an 8-hour exam. At least it took me 8 hours. Some people took longer, some people took less. But I did what I always do, which is I go through the entire exam, make sure that I know what the instructions are, read every single question really, really carefully to make sure that I'm answering the actual question and not sort of skimming over and misinterpreting something and then giving an answer that, you know, is not what the teacher would have been looking for. I go through all the stuff that is super easy, that just comes super quickly, I fill it all in, then I go back and I start again. And then I go and start to do the, you know, slightly harder ones. And ended up with, I think, 3 questions. And I thought, there's no way I'm leaving these questions blank, because even if I put something down, there's a chance that it might be the right answer. Even though I'm reading this question right now, and on this relative level, I have no idea what the answer is or what my teacher would be looking for, I have to trust and know that all of those answers already reside within me. Because one of the coolest things that I heard as we were going into that exam is the same mind that wrote the exam is the same mind that's taking the exam. And I kept hearing that in my head. Because if there's only one thing going on, call it love, call it God, call it source, call it universe, call it universal mind, then it's true. All of that knowledge, all of those answers, they're there. They exist already. So whoever wrote the exam is interconnected to, the mind that I am making use of, and so I can tap into that. So that's what I did. I just sat there with those 3 questions. I closed my eyes and I just opened up. Bring it. I don't even remember what those questions were. I don't remember what I wrote, but I handed it in after answering all the questions. Right on the nose, 3 hours. And I felt so good, I felt so proud of myself, I felt so amazing, like, this is great. And then in the middle of the night, I started to question myself. I started to doubt. I started to second guess, thinking, why did I answer that question that way? Oh my God, why did he ask that question that way? That's the same question that was on that side, but I answered this one this way and this one this way. Oh, and I just started spiraling, and I got to the point very quickly where I convinced myself I had failed. And if I failed, that meant that I couldn't go in panel, I couldn't do my oral panels, which meant I couldn't be a spiritual practitioner, which meant I couldn't do what I felt so called to do. It meant I wouldn't be able to move on to ministerial studies, I wouldn't be a minister, just catastrophizing like crazy. And the next day, I don't even have the words for how I felt, because it felt like, whose term is pain body? Thank you, Eckhart Tolle. So he talks about how there's a pain body of like all the pain that ever was, ever will be. That's what it felt like, that I was feeling it all. Everyone's, everything at the same time, and it was all coming out because I convinced myself that I had failed this exam and that my life was going to look very different because I was a failure. But I also knew there was something in me. And it was this faintest whisper that was saying, it's going to be okay. This is growth. This is stretching in an epic way, super fast out of your comfort zone. And you have to let this happen. And so I did. And it took about 24 hours, and then I felt lighter. And just by leaning into that faith, by trusting and knowing that what was happening or what appeared to be happening in front of me was not what was the truth of who and what I am. A few days later, I got the exam mark, and it was like 97.5 or something, and I look at it and I'm like, first I'm like, did he mark the exam that I wrote? Because that's not. But then I looked and it was so bizarre, like I couldn't even remember having written some of the answers because I just opened up and allowed for the answers to come through. It was such an incredible experience. And so to me, that is one of my big memories of really leaning into faith, of just trusting and knowing during the exams that the answers were already there, that they would come, the way they needed to come, and then trusting and knowing that all would be okay. Even to the point of, if I fail and this is what it's going to look like, there's gift and opportunity in that too. I'm not seeing it right now, but there's gift and opportunity in that as well. And so, prevailing power of faith. If we give ourselves the opportunity to accept that no matter what is going on, no matter how impossible something might seem right in front of us, if we give ourselves the opportunity to remember that there is that in us that knows all, that can give us whatever it is that we require to live our most amazing life, to give us whatever it is that we need to prevail in the moment, if we can just trust and accept in that, then we go back, to our affirmation of the month, which is, with faith, Even the impossible is possible, no matter what. So my invitation to you is, next time you are challenged, whether it is something like the golf ball in the air, whether it is feeling grumpy because you've been eating the wrong food and not getting enough sleep, whether it is something really big, or even if you're in the presence of someone who is going through something where they're like, I have no idea, I can't find my way, there is a way. There is a way, and I mean, the title of my talk is Finding the Way in No Way, and then I couldn't decide on which title to use, so I put another one there, The Prevailing Power of Faith. The way is faith. The way is to trust, the way is to know, the way is to accept that no matter what is going on, no matter what thoughts are in our head, no matter what feelings we're feeling, that there is that in us that can guide and support and nurture and move us into this incredible, amazing way of prevailing so that we can triumph and conquer and overcome anything. So that's my invitation to you. Next time, just have faith. It's already who you are. Thank you, and so it is. All right, time for a little bit of conscious conversation. So I guess this half of the room, this half of the room, if you want to walk over and switch, because you've talked with some people a few times already, feel free, but otherwise, have a chat. Yeah. And then I'll leave the meditation while it's time to come back.
Yeah, it's almost like you become older you get from the right, like kind of more the stuff that you know.
Yeah.
It's like when I was a kid, the time is just developing.
Irrelevant. Everything.
Yeah, it's like, who cares where I am? I could be here, having a good time.
Yeah.
And when you get older, you start questioning where you're at, you start questioning the time is all over. Happy, joyful, travel with new people, or new contacts, or not necessarily your this is just all that I want to be doing. That's how I feel. Let go.
Just to have blind faith. You said blind faith. It was a band called Blind Faith. Yeah.
Happy to see you
there were days when you said, I remember my father was very intelligent man, several lifetimes. He said to me once, and it's always stuck in my mind, Esther, don't ever think you can't do what you want to do. Don't let anyone ever tell you you can't do it because you're a girl. This was back before feminism was a thing that women were. My mother stayed home and cooked and cleaned and whatever. He said, the only thing you maybe can't do is lift heavy weights or stuff like that. But don't ever accept the fact that someone says to you, oh, you can't do that, you're a girl, because he said it's not true. And it stuck with me forever because I was in high school then. High school is like, especially back in the days, you always had a little clique and this was it. And if you're not in a group, you're out or something.
Still the same.
Oh, it is still happening.
And I phoned up my
So,
elementary school.
I think
I was one of
the fact that you're a parent,
that school at this
these little pearls of wisdom are important to express to your kids. Because at the time you think, oh, she's going to remember this, but I've remembered it my whole life. It just struck a note, and it just fascinated by the relation. I never forget it.
I wasn't sure where we were going to go with it, but this is the principle this way. And then I got this phone call back last week from the vice principal.
Yeah, I think sometimes I see kids,
It's all going to be
like,
workable.
they're
And I had this
registering
straight
so much,
moment. I was like, okay.
so much coming in.
And I just let it go.
Like, for example, so like learning to ride a
There
bike,
was this sense of.
they see other kids ride bikes,
No, it's.
and they know it can be done,
I'm supposed to be.
and then they try it, and they're like, panicky, whatever, and then the switch flips, and they're like, then they're just like, wobbling, but they're going. And then they're not that person anymore who had like a little bit of that.
That's true. Yeah, not that
There's the
person.
guy or the girl who's like, everyone else is watching.
Yes.
I see that, it's a free will anymore.
This one's called.
Yeah, and this is like, and there's a lot of that going on, right? So a lot of way two levels. Mine's be like that.
Actually, my
And
camera.
you become,
I actually should take that with me.
Yeah.
probably that's what happens is
Yeah.
You have to give yourself the time.
In this story.
I struggle with that a lot.
He loves to do
Yeah.
that, but the other animals
Because
sort of have a.
I remember the amount of effort that goes into learning anything. It's not like so the impatience that I have with myself, whereas when I was little, I would spend hours.
Yes.
Perfecting my proper wheeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and then you can do it.
And I could do it, and I was just like, check this out, and I just well, not that
Yeah,
it's
well,
not
then you
dedication,
get yourself
possibility,
out there, like,
That's dedication, here's something like
like a
that.
video apple keeper, which is like a
You say it away sometimes, yeah.
apple juice.
And
And we had this, I met a business
Time
partner about 3 years ago, and we're sort of going through some
and
research.
experience.
That's right, yeah. So,
But
somebody like
gives us
sort of
so much
yeah,
fodder for the inner debate. Can I do something? Well, the evidence would be to the contrary. Because everything that's happening before. But that's not really like, it's not, what's the path of the path for a multitude of everything.
So it's sort of like-
multitude of reasons.
It actually
You
does,
were
it's
just
just
like,
my
not
faith,
saying
it's
that
like,
you
it's
would.
like,
So
oh, well,
it's
this
kind of very relevant.
okay, what are the definitions of,
And maybe that's that thing
of
about
faith, or like,
kids.
it's multiple different.
Yes.
And then
of the
you have that
universe.
focus.
Yes.
So I can progress.
But
But I found, yeah.
well, that's sort of the other, I kind of relate to that, and so.
So we were out in the park and I was trying to be like present.
Yeah, the experience is sort of like, a little less
My
strong.
focus was kind of like,
Faith.
I should be doing this thing. Oh my God, I gotta make it there.
Being by myself, and
Come on, let's
I
pack
feel
it
like
up.
they told the story, but.
You know? And then it was only
Yeah, so
like
I don't have anything like
partway through.
too profound to say on it.
I think it was until they went to go get the van.
Yes,
And
I
left
mean,
me like down some park or something.
I really know there's a
I
difference.
felt very uncomfortable. So I got the van, I sit back down there, I saw there in the kid, I was like, okay, it's great, there's still the tree.
trees all the time.
Yeah.
Right, and then it holds
I didn't
space
like my
for
trees, so I
something
go
to
bare.
show up.
Some of this branch. It's like,
From that other
this is that branch.
perspective.
Horrible
Right,
branch that I found
you're
like,
good, having that faith.
oh wow, I haven't
You
been
don't
around
have
at
that
all.
in other people.
Like, in actually experiencing this tree. I look back at them and they're both like, land,
Yeah.
tree. You know,
There's
just
a certain amount of faith that's
oh right,
required.
this is an amazing place for it.
But then
It's an amazing
if I,
moment.
if I put my faith in my faith, conscious universe or a God or a
So
spirit or
much to be
something.
learned by the
I
little
think
ones,
I might do something.
you know?
But we also put ourselves in the
So,
gospel past.
it's like, yeah,
parent, person, all this stuff.
Well, is it an opportunity
1200 things on
to
your
get
video.
curious and see where
Are
the
still there.
similarities or similarities are and see,
Get out to
you
do
know,
it.
if maybe
Yeah, there's always a
there
certain
are any
innocence
similarities
in the
that maybe
questions
you
that are
can
done,
from a slightly
because they don't have
different
experience and they ask each question.
and to see
Which
if,
You
you know,
have to
you
remember
might
not
talk about
to take
dogs
lightly,
or
because behind that question is a really serious interest in something. Only if they have the ability to express it
then we're going to
differently.
experience more of it
Yeah.
in different language, which is still stuff that, you know, you would.
I don't think love has never seen
But,
innocent questions. For
I
questions
wonder
are
if there's
always
a way to
really wise and like more
go
weighty
at it,
than
so that you're both connecting and supporting each other
Be a kid.
while still staying true to the
Oh,
individual.
so intense.
At
It's already had a lot of like,
least one, if not more.
I knew that like.
So,
Yeah.
how would you?
Because there's a lot of things that really resonate on the business
Yeah.
values and certain things.
Yeah.
10 months.
But then sometimes it's like,
She's a Taurus.
it's like Dave Hawkins or something. It's like not like the same resonance there. It's like
Yeah, about the children.
it's like a different process of finding like
This guy did this hilarious.
sort of a mutual.
Harvey Sid Fisher.
I'm constantly worrying to say something that's sort of like
Astrology songs.
scoffed at or laughed off.
Weird images. Taurus one always sticks in.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Talk about the children.
But then I go back to my family and culture
It is just so
and
into it.
I get rid of my family so like spiritual awakening. My brother's been in a long time. My mom, my sister, my
digress.
yeah, it's like we're just Course in Miracles.
Right, yeah.
My mom, so it's like
Yeah.
so I go back there and
It's,
it's like the field of faith, or like
Yeah.
the field of like surrendering to God or letting how to handle it. It's so much stronger that
Anyway, getting back
I
to
can relax into that.
Yeah.
So then it's
Is there any?
Then no,
responsibility though?
No, and I went to this problem state because I won my 90 days, so
Yeah.
I don't have any problems.
yeah.
He probably would.
He was using
tennis as an
analogy.
Right, but I don't have to. Because I'm happy. See, there you go. When you have faith, you know, you don't even think about it, right? It's just when you don't have faith, you start to.
So
Yeah.
but it's really for dog. It's like I want to get controversial, but like family or word faith or maybe partner in tennis is I consider him like a very spiritual person. He just decided that like he wants to not do certain things that everyone has pressure to do. A lot of the consequences. So there's certainly fertile ground for goes on his path. A lot of things happen. It feels like a waterfall.
Was it this weekend? I didn't see that. I know he,
But other maybe that's it.
yeah, I think he was out this week. I don't think he lasted. This is the quarterfinals are wrong. I think he's been out. Anyway, yeah, but
What is that?
It's time to come back. What's that? Thank you for our conversation on this side of the room, and thank you. I heard some animated stuff going on over there. All right. Appreciation and love time. Anyone who has something to do with today happening, please stand. Oh, this is chestnut. All right, here we go. We appreciate you. We love you. We support you as you prevail. All right, and I'm just going to ask everybody else to stand on up, and let's love each other up, including Esther, who's sitting in the chair, because you're over there. Yeah, that's good. All right, so here we go. We appreciate you. We love you. We support you as you prevail. And now, pick one person, turn those we's into I's, and let someone else you know. Here we go. I appreciate you. I love you. I support you as you prevail. All right, thank you everyone. Okay, so you can go ahead and sit down. If you feel that you have been spiritually inspired, nourished, fed here today, and you would like to offer a love offering in financial form, there are these little envelopes on the silver bowl over there. Even if you're doing an e-transfer, which you can do to info@victoriatruthcenter.org, please fill out an envelope, circle e-transfer, and it's going to be easier for our treasurer to keep track of things. However it is that you are giving of yourself, your time, your talent, your treasure, I invite you to place your hand on your heart as we declare the abundance affirmation together. In gratitude I give, in gratitude I receive. By joyously contributing to my spiritual center, I celebrate the infinite possibilities of living life lovingly, and so it is. And so just taking a moment to close our eyes or lower our gaze, whatever it is that feels comfortable. Continuing to allow that gratitude to appreciate, knowing that our time together today has been blessed and continues to be a blessing as we move into the coming hours, days, and week ahead. So knowing that our minds have been expanded, that our hearts have been opened, that our souls are continually being activated, I'm so grateful to know that this community is coming together one experience at a time so that we can live life more lovingly for ourselves, each other, and our world. So with so much gratitude, knowing that there is so much more to come, I simply say thank you, feeling the love, feeling the blessings, feeling the abundance and flow, and so it is. All right, just a few announcements. Sunday, Celebrate Sunday, 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here. Authentic Relating Games happening this Sunday, May 19th from 6:30 to 9 right here. Interconnection is the theme, and it is hosted by LIVESTREAM. Next Wednesday is Elevate Your Creativity. So next Wednesday, we're going to be doing Ukrainian Easter eggs. That means we're going to be using molten wax, using a stylus on eggs, and then dyeing them, and then revealing the beautiful designs underneath as we melt the wax away at the end. Yes.
Will you be?
I am facilitating that one.
You are.
I'm Ukrainian as part of my tradition, and for whatever reason, we didn't do Easter eggs this year, so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a great Elevator Creativity project. So that's what we're doing. We have about 12 people signed up so far, so if you haven't signed up yet and want to come, please do so, because we have only a limited number of spots available. You? Yeah? Okay.
Didn't I?
You haven't?
I haven't signed up.
Okay.
I said I was going.
Okay, all right, okay.
But
I
I'm
will put your
officially
name down.
signing my mother and I up.
I will, okay. Are you putting your hand up? Yes! Awesome! Exciting! Okay, I think you have like, you guys I have, yep. You I don't, you I do, 5 people, yeah, okay. All right, yeah, looking forward to next week. But then the week after, we're coming back for one more Elevate in May, all right. Radiate, happening Friday, May 24th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Spiritual Salon, happening right here, a way to really connect with the community. Our very first healing circle is happening on Sunday, May 26th, right here from 12:15 to 1 p.m. If you or someone you know is in need of prayer, this is an amazing opportunity to come in person to experience the power of spiritual mind treatment, of affirmative prayer, of an intention circle, to feel energy moving, to feel consciousness shifting. Happening Monday, May 27th, music and mantras. Coralina is on the right. She has a special guest, Illyria, coming in with her crystal bowls. It is going to be kind of like a mini sound bath. So if you feel like you could immerse yourself in some healing sounds through chanting and mantras and some crystal bowls, then please join us on Monday, May 27th for music and mantras. If you would like to be more active and supportive of VTC as a VTC member, and there are ways that you would like to serve, then please let me or someone on the board know. We're specifically looking for someone to help out with tech support on Sunday. It's always great to have setup and cleanup help, and then if there's someone who's either here or online who would like to connect with people who are tuning in online, that would be amazing as well. And then regular prayer requests, there is a tiny prayer box with some forms on the table over there. If you or someone you know would like some prayer, then we can fill out the form, and then our prayer team will pray for you or yours affirmatively. And if you're not already on the newsletter list, which I think almost everybody here is, then please feel free to sign up. Does anybody in the community have something they would like to share? No? All right, well, let's move on to our last song. Okay. All right, everybody, come on and stand up. We're going to sing Faith, Stevie Wonder. Kelby's playing the role of Stevie Wonder and Ariana Grande. And Kelby, the dancing electric squid out of the movie.
All right, everybody's got your dancing shoes on. Dancing shoes, clap your hands, singing voices. Here we go.
everybody who tuned in online. We love you. We appreciate you. We're so glad you're here. We'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Awesome.